Mikey, dust it off!
I'm moving.
Michael, he's coming, hurry!
Come on! Dynamite, dynamite, dynamite.
Dynamite.
Hey, Benny, you know what you're doing?
Yeah, sure, Mikey. We do this all the time back in Brooklyn. Mikey, come on. I thought your GTO had more meat under the hood than this. Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go, go. Come on, baby, come on. Hit the blower. Okay, hold on. Talking hyperspace!
Michael, I don't know about this. This is too fast for him.
You scared?
Ellie, don't worry about it. Just like an E-ride at Disneyland. Hold on. All right, Mikey, we did it!
We did it!
You break!
All right, guys, welcome back. It's a balmy 30-something degrees out here. Stark contrast from what it was only a week ago when we had the previous SS video. But that clip you just saw was actually from a movie that is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not many people have seen it who aren't a car person, but for me, it is one of the more formative movies, along with like Smokey and the Bandit. But that movie was called My Science Project. I suggest you check it out. It's a free download on YouTube. If you're a car guy, you'll love it. Maybe it's a little inaccurate with some of this stuff because the ones, if you heard "hit the blower" in there, that doesn't actually work like that. But that car is the same car that's sitting behind these doors, and you may have seen it in the background every once in a while. But today is finally the day that we're gonna bring her back to life, or at least start anyway. I can't guarantee that I'll have her running today. I can almost certainly guarantee you I won't have it running. But that movie, it is kind of amazing, to be honest. If I can kind of go off track a little bit, it's amazing what like movies that you see and things that you do when you're younger and how they influence when you get older, and you don't even realize it till much later on. Like with this car, my first car, which is a '79 Trans Am, special edition, just like the Smokey and the Bandit car. So it's funny, I try to, with my kids, the same deal, like show them car movies, influence them with car movies, see what happens when they get older, what cars they want to drive. They already want dad's race car, but maybe they'll drive this one around too. So enough hype. Let's get the doors open. Let's bring her back to life.
First we have to dust it. Wait, are you literally going to turn that thing on?
Phew.
I don't know if we can.
Wow. All right. All right, guys. So here she is, 1968 GTO, 400 400 automatic. It is not particularly a ton of options, but I will say this, that she is mighty dirty. And you can see it's not the best light out here right now, but you know, walking around, she's got some dents on it. And this car used to be pretty nice when we first bought it, but it had that like sell me, you know, sell me paint job on it. So, you know, it had that red eye-popping color on it. And you know, we got it. It was great for a few years. It turned out that we had some ring damage. It ended up having a cracked ringland on, I'm trying to remember if it was cylinder 7 or what it was, but you can get in here, and unfortunately from it sitting, you can see it's got, you know, got some mold, but this, you know, this cleans off really easily. So, I mean, obviously I'll wash my hands, and I'm gonna wipe this down real good in here and clean it up. But I got new gauges and everything for in here. I love this steering wheel. Still smells good, but you can see whoever did the wiring on this thing originally, they hated life. So I'm gonna pull out all the wiring, and it's got a couple little cracks on here. Seats ripped, I don't care. Seats ripped, don't care. Headliner is pretty awesome actually, so I'm not gonna mess with it too much, but I'm gonna wipe everything down real nice in here. It's got the vinyl top, but like, as I said, here it's like the worst spot. It's just rotting out. And let me take a look. I think I got the keys in my pocket. Hopefully everything will go okay, but we're going to try. And this is the funny part, is like we needed a new key, a new lock cylinder, so I'm not sure which one works, so we'll try that one. I think it is this one. Oh, look at that. Oh man. Oh, there she goes. Oh, there's the car cover for it. Oh man. But the nice part is that the trunk is actually, trunk is not terrible. Yeah, it's got like, it probably looks real bad here, but it's just surface rust, so this will actually clean up quite well. And it's got the original tiger paw bias ply on it, so that's pretty awesome. And yeah, there's some water in there, but the trunk, see, this is how it looked when we bought it, right? So like you can see, gorgeous. Everything looks real nice on here, but unfortunately that faded. Now I can clean this up and make it look pretty for now, which is what I'm probably going to do. I got to cut this out and put in some new metal, so I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that, but you can see like the clips are all falling off. I got to see if I can do something here to salvage this, but the trim pieces, yeah, you can see the trim piece bent up. It came off, so that was my fault. Yeah, see, I bent it. Ooh, bad Davy. But we can get it back down on there for now. It's just, it's so rotted, I can't get the trunk up without hitting the thing. But let's see. Bloop. Let's see, John. There we go, closed. What do you think so far?
Nice.
It's gonna be fun when we can get this thing running and driving, right? Yep. And you can see underneath it, she's showing her age, but her exhaust is rotting off her. It's a 4-wheel drums, and I noticed when they painted it, it actually a lot of overspray on the frame. Like the hood doesn't fit that, like it's not fitting really good. But I don't have a battery in here right now. You do me a favor, bud, just hold that real quick. Actually, you know what? Yeah, here, do this. Come around here. You're gonna do it for me.
What?
Lift the hood. Lift the hood. Get your fingers in there and lift it. Just lift it. There you go. Good job. Good job.
Oh,
all right. So.
Wow, that. Ooh.
Yeah, looks a little rough, but we can clean her up. All right, I took the battery out a while back. There's definitely some electrical gremlins because we had this rigged up setup to disconnect the battery. But I mean, we put a new battery tray in it. It's really surprisingly not. The car itself is not particularly bad. Yeah, it's got some rot, a little bit of rot in the fenders, and you know, this is just from sitting. But this whole engine was rebuilt a little while ago, so that's why I'm going to take my time on it. All right, so we got a little bit of a better view here under the hood, and I had mentioned earlier, yeah, there's a lot of weird things going on. You know, it still has the hideaway headlight. My dad replaced all of this stuff before. It still seems to be in pretty good shape. But you know, we got a lot doing here. The exhaust is basically rotted off the car. This guy, I must have left this loose to get this off easily. But carb doesn't look bad. Actually, does not look too bad. The lines, oh man, yeah. So the fuel line is rock solid. So that we're gonna have to do something about. I gotta see. Yeah, off the side there, I think I can run some new fuel line. I'll run some new fuel line. I'll do away with that, and we'll pump through it. So I think what I'll be able to do is, see, that rubber line's good. That's weird. I see a bunch of wires just not even on it. Oh, this is gonna take some tracing. I don't know what the heck's going on back there, but we'll figure it out. I got like random wires running in and out of the car. Let me see. I gotta get a little bit better view of what this is. This came, I don't know if this is like supposed to be on here or where that's supposed to be. That's coming in from the car, so I'm not sure. And this is weird. It's just a random wire just kind of spliced together. Woof. All right, so there's gonna be a little bit of work to do. It's got a Protronics igniter in it, but you know, first things first. What I'm gonna end up doing is you know, pulling a plug. I got what is that? R435s for this guy. AC Delco, so that should be easy enough to get. The thing's leaking bad, the exhaust, so I got to get a little creative with how I do. I don't even know if the starter's going to turn or what, but eventually what I'm going to end up doing is pulling the engine out. I may put, depending on what I decide to do here, I may put headers on it, but brake lines actually don't look too bad. Power steering, still soft, but starting to crack, so I may have to get new steering lines. I don't even know if these things turn. But, you know, first things first. Oh, man, that is tight. So, I don't know exactly what this thing's going to do. Alternator looks pretty good, actually. Belt alignment does not look bad, believe it or not. I was considering originally doing like a serpentine belt setup on this, but we'll have to see. More than likely going to be making some pretty serious changes on this. All right, I think one of the first things I want to do is just kind of take a look at the oil here. Oh man, look at that. Man, it actually smells good. It actually smells like, it's such a shame that this thing had so many weird electrical problems and we just couldn't get past that transmission leak, and there's a lot of trans fluid on the floor there. But going back in here and looking, that's incredible. Yeah, it does smell a little bit like fuel, but I don't know how well you can see that, but you can actually see through it and see the dipstick. It's not even dirty. You know, it's dirty. When it comes off of there, it's kind of dirty, but I think what I'm going to do, you know, I'm not going to crank this thing before I do this, but I'm going to get a few gallons. I'll get a new round of oil for this guy, and just taking a look, I don't know if I want to try busting one of these plugs loose or one on the other side, but yeah, I got to get a nicer, scrape this down, clean it up real nice, and respray it. But I don't think I'm going to crack the intake off it or anything like that. Ultimately, what I'm planning on doing, man, wow, there's just like rogue wiring. I don't know what that is. That's just sitting on the block. I got a water pump line here, so at least we can get a water temperature, but that's just kind of chilling out there. Oh, man. There's the oil pump, oil pressure line there. Yamaha. How are these? Let's take a look down in there. Let's see if this even turns. Holy sugar cookies. All right, well, that turns pretty well. Let's see. Oh, yeah. They're still cooling in there. Nice. Wild. I'm not going to do anything. I'll just let that go through. It's probably nasty as hell, but eventually I'll spill it. See, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm torn by wanting to spill this out and get some new stuff, because the block's probably, you know, rusted bad inside. But it doesn't look cracked. Yeah, everything seems to look okay. Oil pan looks good. Balancer, all that stuff looks good. Water pump looks like death, because I never painted it when I originally replaced it. But I mean, if it still spins, I think we'll be good. It's just a matter of seeing if these belts will move at all. As of right now, there does not appear to be any interest in allowing that thing to move. But good news is the radiator looks decent inside still. That wire's rotting off the car, so I'm assuming that's a ground that was just thrown on there. There's the electric choke on there. Woof! We got some work to do, folks. We got a lot of work to do to get this thing ready to go. Okay, so as expected, things haven't necessarily gone as cleanly as I had hoped. I'm gonna have to do something about the brake master cylinder. It's been sitting for so long that it'll just take a little bit of coaxing. I didn't want to bore you guys. It's flurrying out. Now it's starting to snow, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be, if the sun is out, wild, that I'm going to rinse this car off right now. But ultimately, the plan is to keep the 400 set up, at least for now, and then more than likely do a 4L80E transmission behind it just to get that extra gear because I want to be able to really drive it. In reality, though, for what we're doing with it, the 400 is probably going to be fine. I do have to pull it. There's quite a bit of transmission fluid in the lid there. It's not as much as I would have thought, but obviously there are some things I got to do to it before I can, safely drive it. As far as the engine, I want to get it running the way it's set up right now, but it is not something sustainable just because the exhaust is kind of there's a lot of broken bolts on it. That's going to be a pain in the butt to get out. So I am a little nervous about that. But this thing only has about 3,000 miles on it. So the engine was rebuilt. So even if something does go wrong, it should be very easy to figure out. And if I got to, it's going, 462. We're going big cubes. I am going to go with a Holley. I'm going to keep this now to get it fired up. And like I said, I'm just going to bypass everything, run it into the fuel pump that's down on the engine block, put some new rubber on that, and then run that into just a fuel can for now to get it started, which I think should be sufficient, assuming that the fuel pump is still good, but we'll find that out pretty quickly. And I'm going to turn the engine over quite a bit. Pull all the plugs out. I got to get some new ones, so I'm going to try to do this in a way that's fairly methodical. I do not know if I'm going to be able to get this thing started on the first shot. I'm a little concerned about all the wiring that's just not connected to anything in there. So it's been so long, probably a decade since this thing has run, that I don't know exactly why certain things weren't connected. But as far as the rest of the car, I want to do the Holley fuel injection on it. If I have to change the distributor over, like I mentioned, it has a Protronics igniter in there already. So it should be good from an ignition standpoint. It should give a strong enough signal that I should be able to fire the fuel injection off it. Worst case scenario, I'm just going to a digital, aftermarket, like a Holley digital distributor in there, get better signal. And then I'll convert everything over accordingly. Exhaust, I'm kind of torn. I may put headers on it, or I may just put the aftermarket, those Ram Air Restoration manifolds onto the 2.5 inch. This car is not, I'm really not going nuts on it per se, but I'm gonna, put a stainless exhaust on. I'm gonna get coated. I may just do coated manifolds on it. The plan is to actually run this thing for autocross, but still be able to drive the shows and stuff like that. So believe it or not, the rot really, I thought it was gonna be a lot worse. The back is, of course, the worst section, and I can fix that myself. So I can. What I'm thinking I may try to do is get the piece put in, try to at least just cover it up with some decent vinyl for now to just kind of close things off, and then eventually go back. But in talking to my dad, we're not going to restore this thing cosmetically initially, right? We're going to build this thing to enjoy, drive, and have a good time with. So if you have ever watched anything I've ever done, or any of the other cars, I got a little snow squall going here. Any of the other cars I've done, I'm a big pro touring guy, and I'm not going to put an LS in this thing. At least not now, or an LT, at least not now. I'm going to keep the 400. I want to keep the Pontiac engine as long as possible, as long as feasible. I am not going to put a cage in this. I'm not interested. This is not going to be a drag car. I want to be able to drive this thing, which is part of the reason why I'm thinking about the overdrive transmission, just to make it a little bit more fun to go on long trips and to do autocrossing and stuff like that in it. But in reality, most of the autocross stuff, if you get out of second gear, that's a big course. It's usually first and second gear the entire time, except for some of the stuff you saw, that Baderfield stuff I did last year, and I'll be doing this year. It was a very large course, a lot bigger. I mean, you're talking over a minute long for a lap or a heat. But as far as exhaust, we're going to go stainless MagnaFlow. I've used that before. I actually used that on that 69 Cutlass very early on. There's a couple videos of that, well, at least one on my channel very early on, just kind of where I started working, doing a lot of stuff on that. This will follow in somewhat a similar vein. I'm going to be doing the Rick's tanks, aftermarket tank that has, looks like the stock tank, but it's already prepped for fuel injection. I'll more than likely deadhead a LS3 fuel pump. And all you have to do there is you take the LS3 fuel pump, and it's got the standard, like the Camaro fuel pump, and you change out the pressure regulator to a 4th gen Camaro or Firebird regulator, and then boom, it's a deadhead pump. So it's super easy, and they already put the recess in, and they put the fuel level sensor in it. So that'll be really nice for as far as just taking out the old tank, putting a new one in. I'll put a single fuel line, run it up to it, and deadhead right at the fuel injection setup. And like I said, I'm using Holly will more than likely just go with the Quadrajet base on it, because this is already set up for the Quadrajet. And then it has a weird adapter plate right now for the Holly. So it's just a lot of weird stuff with this car. We bought it because we were so excited how great it looked, and I can still remember we went to Maryland, I think, Maryland or Delaware, to buy it. I remember I was still in high school, and I remember lifting the garage door up, and boom, there it was. And it was like, oh, we gotta have it. And my dad was one of the few times I've ever seen my dad not have a really good poker face when it comes to buying a car. And the cool thing about this is my dad had a 68 GTO, was one of his first cars, and his was Fedora green. Believe it or not, this car is actually Fedora green and will one day be Fedora green again. Highway headlamps. So some of the other things, and I'll grab it in a second, kind of show you it, but like so I mentioned exhaust, either ram air restorations or headers, probably do the ram air restoration stuff, I don't know yet. Suspension, I'm a big suspension and brake guy, so we're gonna go two different directions. Not 100% sure yet which way I'm going to go, but it's either going to be UMI performance. I'm a big UMI guy, or either UMI, Detroit Speed, or one of the big guys for that. I've used them all, frankly. And then for brakes, I'm either going Core 3, or I may end up going. Oh my goodness, I forget the POL, I think, Performance Online. They have a blackout brake kit that's really nice for this. Biggest thing you got to be super careful with is bump steer on these things. So you got to be careful with caster setup, just the big three: caster, camber, and make sure that at least for this one, I'm going to go at least. So my dad and I are kind of arguing a little bit, not arguing, but discussing on what we're going to do for the wheels. I am not going to go like 19s or 20s on it like the SS is, but I have a set in mind, an 18-inch set in mind that I've always wanted to buy for any like Pro Touring A body I've ever had, and I'm not going to tell you what they are just yet. It's either those wheels or the 17-inch Rally 2s. I know they make an 18-inch Rally 2. I don't like the proportions of it. I don't like the way the wheel looks with it. It's not a good look in my opinion. It's a good look if you can pull it off right on your car, but for me, it's not necessarily a good look. That I don't like it enough to go beyond the 17s for that. Will that hurt autocrossing? Yes, it will. It will. Do I care? Probably not. But and then the other direction possibly of suspension is Holley, believe it or not, is actually bringing out a new suspension system, and they have it out for the F bodies, of course. I believe it's 2nd gens right now, but they are working on for an A body, is actually utilizing what is stock appearing parts, and they're made stiffer. They tune the suspension, and it's for stock style suspension classes. But they give you the extra, suspension adjustment you need to make sure you can get like, a -1, -2 degrees of camber on it for like serious autocrossing and road racing. So I may do it that way to kind of, tip my hat to the more nostalgic vehicle there. You can go to a car show, but it sits lower type of thing. So as long as the suspension works, that's all I care about. And then I mentioned transmission. Interior-wise, Brom for the seats. I'm going to pull these, put these guys up on a shelf, but I'm going to go with Brom seats that I can get a really nice stitching on them, be a lot more support. And then I just got to figure out what I'm going to do from a harness standpoint. If I got a better seat, I can at least go with a better, seat belt. The problem is these guys have the lap belt. And they do have a shoulder belt, but it's actually separate seat belts, so it's probably not going to hold me in place, especially because I'm a big boy. It may not hold me very well. So I'm definitely going to go with a bigger seat, a better seat, a newer seat. And then I may do a bolt in, like a tiger cage or something like that, so that it's reversible, so it's not a welded in deal. So I may go with that for something for a tiger cage, so you at least get in and out of the car easily, you can drive it. But like I said, I am 100% building this car to drive. So first things first, I got to get it running first. You know, I got to get it started and make sure that everything's sound on it. Like I said, I'm really going to try to do everything I can to keep the Pontiac engine, but you know, if all else fails, it's going to be a huge amount of money. You know exactly where I'm going with this. So can always undo the way I do the LS swaps, and you can start down thumbing me all you want. But if we get serious with the racing, and I want my dad to do it, then it probably will end up being like a big cube NA LS or something like that. Or even just an LS3 setup or something like that. But it's going to be, the beautiful part is the kits that I use, they're all, you can just undo and put the Pontiac engine in down the road again. But I want to try to be a little different. The LS stuff is getting utilized heavily. It's because it works. So I'd like to try to get away with doing something with the Pontiac setup on this and keep it Pontiac. But cosmetically, like I said, eventually it will go back to a Fedora green. I'm putting a hood tack on it, and let me really quickly, let me grab the gauges. I'll show you the gauges that are going to go on this. All right, so by the magic of television here, I was able to grab the gauges that'll be going in here. Now I got to figure it out. I think it'll fit, and I've got a couple other areas where I'm going to do it. Some of them, unfortunately, at least one of them won't work for this right now, but that's okay. So we'll start aim wideband. Using this guy. I had this before for other applications, but this guy is just a simple air-fuel ratio gauge. And I'm going to have this set up because I want to always know what the air-fuel is. It helps with tuning. And this may go on a gauge pod that's like lower, and I'll have to come up with what I want. But the crown jewels, and I'll start with the main gauge that comes along here. So I'm going to put a hood tack on the car because I want it. But I've got a bunch of Speed Hut gauges, and these guys are absolutely gorgeous. I've had these for years and never used them, so I don't know how well you can see it, but this is the digital speedo. You can set the trip odometer on it, and then in here we got all the goodies. So before I spin it around, I'll see if I can do this upside down, but we got oil pressure gauge, fuel pressure, okay? Now, the weird part is that I may have to change out the fuel pressure gauge because this is for well, actually, no, I will not, because eventually I will be changing it over to fuel injection. So, but fuel level here, voltage, fuel pressure, water temperature, and I got transmission temperature. And then I've got boost pressure, don't need that, and I got oil pressure. So what I may end up doing is adding, swapping out the boost pressure one, since this isn't going to be a boosted car, at least not now. And I will get a transmission temperature, or I'm sorry, a oil temperature or something like that. But I'm definitely putting some additional, and there you go. Let me just get this in here so you guys can see it a little better, see how purty these guys are. But I think what I'll end up doing, and the neat part about it, and I'm not going to pull it off, they give you all the sensors and everything underneath it, so hell, I'll do it. This is dumb, but like, see how beautiful that is? So it's all set up so that you can gang them together very easily, and then they give you everything you need with the kit. So I've got every type. So this is water, oil, trans temperature. This one, fuel pressure. Here's fuel level, very simple. I just run this to the gauge in the tank. And then I got, this is boost pressure. And what sucks here is that I got all the great gauges for it. I'm not even gonna use it. So, but that's okay. And then we got, this is inline for, what is this? Fuse for, oh, this is the bus. So this just actually does all the wiring and everything, very cool. Fuel PSI I mentioned. This guy is oil pressure, so this is a new sending unit that we'll put in. I mean, it's awesome. I got a whole bunch of other stuff, and then another oil water temperature gauge there. So I mean, you can't go wrong with this stuff. It's super high quality. So let me put this guy back in the box here so I can put him, so I can get everything packaged right. But I mean, I'm excited because it's going to be a really awesome setup for it, and I'll fix that in a minute. But Right here. Here you go. Speed Hut. Love them. Finally getting a chance to use them. This feels like the right car to use it on, but this was a long one today, guys. This is a very special moment for me. I cannot wait to get this thing going again, using it, enjoying it. I've learned a lot since I started working on cars back when I was in high school, and this is just going to be fun. This is a car that I've always wanted, a GTO. Always wanted it. My dad had his first car, like I mentioned. This one, unfortunately, just fell. It's how it happens. Life happens. Cars fall into disrepair. I've sold way too many of the cars I wish I kept. This one is not going anywhere. That is for damn sure. This one is going to stay in my family until I'm putting the ground. I may even be putting the ground in it. But a lot of really cool stuff to come, guys. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to start revealing more stuff along the way. Pardon me, tongue-tied there. But I'm very excited about what is coming up for this car. It should move pretty quick. I really want to have this thing rocking and rolling by the summer. So thanks for watching. Way more to come on this. And you know what? We'll see you soon. Take care.